All right, y'all. This is Rhonda with Truth Uncompromised. I am doing just a quick update on the All Hell No uh, segment. So I hope before I go into my rant, I am wishing everyone well across the country that the anyone that's currently experiencing issues due to the weather across the country. So please, family, be safe. Stay off the roads if you don't need to be on the roads. And, you know, that's that. So, with that said, I just wanted to just go into just a little reminder. Anybody that's been rocking with us, even if you've just been rocking with us for a year, I have always talked about being prepared. So, meaning having emergency food, having emergency water, making sure you have the necessary medications, especially if your children or elderly need specific medication, making sure you have a stockpile of that. Also making sure you have some source of heat. So if you have a fireplace, that means stockpiling some wood. Some people have generators that can help them out to pass over the time. I also talked about having a grill with charcoal in it. So push come to shove, if you need to cook or whatever, you can fire up the grill. So these are the things that I've been talking about for years about being prepared, and specifically to not be so dependent on the system. Okay, so over this past week, the country has pretty much been under a weather advisory. So that means from the West Coast all the way up to the East Coast. Now, specifically Texas, y'all, they are getting beat down from the smeat down. You hear me? It's getting to the point now where Texas is going into rolling blackouts. All right. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to read a quick article from CNN, which it makes sense. But on the other hand, I am shocked that they went this route from an energy perspective. Okay. Because y'all know Texas. Texas is a hot climate. All right. But the upper part of Texas, specifically the part that's close to Oklahoma, they do from time to time get ice. But this storm is so powerful, it's even hitting all the way down south to Texas. Now, I'm not for sure if it's hitting the shoreline of Texas, but I do know as far as Houston. All right, so real quick, this is from CNN, and it says frozen wind turbines, limited gas supplies, and rolling blackout behind Texas energy woes. This came out yesterday. Some of the warmest places in Texas where rolling power outages are occurring across the chilly state are inside cars and trucks parked in the driveway of a home without electricity. Shay Lewis of Irvine told CNN his family in Grand Prairie had planned a small social distance gathering to celebrate his younger brother's birthday. But instead of celebrating, they have spent the day trying to warm. They have been in the car all day with the heater on, he said. The inside of their home has dropped below 40 degrees. All right, so if you live in a warm climate, 40 degrees, y'all be feeling y'all freezing. Now, I'm not finna lie. I would be kind of cold too, with my home being in a 40-degree mark. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not bad if you live up north where the temperatures, we're in 17 and in Chi-Town below zero, where the lake is freezing over, etc. So anyhow, Rolling power blackouts were ordered across Texas on Monday as a winter storm and frigid temperatures gripped the state and knocked out service for more than 4 million customers. The rotating outages could continue until the state's weather emergency ends, according to the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, a major grid operator that controls about 90% of the state's electric load. So y'all peep that? 90% of Texas electrical load. Governor Greg Abbott said in a tweet post that the state's power grid has been compromised. I'm going to read that again. Governor Greg Abbott said in a tweet post that the state's power grid has not been compromised. The ability of some companies that generate the power has been frozen. This includes the natural gas and coal generators. Abbott wrote, adding that the Electric Reliability Council of Texas and the Public Utility Commission of Texas are working to get the power back online and will give priority to residential consumers. Frozen wind turbines and limited gas supplies have hampered the ability to generate enough power, according to a statement from the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. So in other words, family, what they saying is the main source of power generation is from gas and coal. All right. So for whatever reason, those particular gas and coal plants aren't generating energy fast enough. And one day, we'll talk about the whole coal generation of power perspective. So they're saying the main source is not keeping up or are having power failures. So the supplement, which is the wind turbines, the wind turbines, y'all know the tall things that spin in the air when the wind blow to generate electricity naturally. They're frozen. So anybody that's seen those wind turbines up close, which I was actually in Texas when I first saw one up close. I went to a wind farm, and then I also, when I was traveling back and forth to Texas for work at a previous assignment, I would see them going up the highway with them wind turbines, and baby, they are huge. So them big old things are what they're basically saying are frozen, because they weren't getting all of the power from the wind turbines, because you have to keep into perspective that the wind turbines, it's based on how much wind is generating. So that's why they can't use that 100%. Just like with solar panels, you can't use it 100%, because if the sun is not shining, then it's not able to capture the energy. All right. So that's why most alternative energy solutions use what they're saying is gas and coal as the main source, because it's quote, quote, reliable, and solar and wind are backup. All right. Although the way power used to be generated, in which they don't want to admit, which is ancient technology, was really wirelessly using the ether, the energy, the frequency from the air, planet Earth, to do things. All right. That's what they don't want to admit. Hence, where Tesla, the original Tesla, got his model for wireless technology back in the 1800s. All right. So let me get through this. Okay. People in Houston, the fourth most populous city in the United States, may be in the dark until Tuesday, according to Mayor Sylvester Turner. As of Monday afternoon, there were 1.2 million CenterPoint customers without power included in the city of Houston and the Houston region, Turner said. A number that he said could increase as the weather gets colder in the evening. I just want to be very upfront with the people of the city. if you are without power right now, it is very conceivable that you could be without power throughout the rest of the day and possibly even going into tomorrow, Turner said. Rotating blackouts occur when power companies cut off electricity to residential neighborhoods and small businesses, typically for 10 and 45 minutes before rotating to another location. Traffic lights and infrastructure may also lose power during these blackouts. Bundling up and working from the pickup. Lewis said he has been without power in his apartment in Dallas suburbs for 8 hours. The power went out early this morning, he told CNN. We were given no warning. The temperature inside his apartment was 59 degrees and dropping each hour, he said. My lungs are tight. I need my nebulizer, wrote Lewis, who suffered from extreme asthma, in a post to social media. After hours and several calls to the power company, Encore, Lewis said they stopped taking calls and told customers to prepare to be without power for an extended and unknown amount of time. Lewis said he does not feel safe traveling to find warmth. He plans to wait at his apartment until power returns. I've duct taped my doors and windows to slow the temperature drop, and I'm in multiple layers of clothing and multiple blankets and using my cats for warmth, he says. For now, it is a waiting game. It feels like a waiting game. Ryan Reichkin said his family in North Texas has been dealing with rolling power outages since around 3 a.m. Monday. His wife, Selena, is 8 months pregnant, and they also have 2 young boys, Max 4 and Theo 2. It has been on and off intermittently, says Reichkin, who lives about 45 miles north of Dallas in Selena. We get about 30 minutes on, 45 minutes off. Some stretches have been towards an hour either way. My wife is keeping our boys bundled under blankets while they hang out during the outages. I'm currently working from my pickup and taking calls due to the power outage and a lack of internet. In Katy, just west of Houston, Tricia Leidig said her home has been without power since 5:30 a.m. Monday with no signs of returning anytime soon. Leidig lives with her brother, Michael Towns, and their mother, Ann Towns, who are both disabled. Her mother has chronic a pulmonary disease, heart disease, and requires oxygen around the clock. The family has extra tanks with enough to last 12 hours. But her mother uses a CPAP machine to help her breathe while sleeping without electricity. That is impossible for her. 4 hours isn't a huge deal, but I don't want it to get where we start running out of oxygen for Mom, Leidig says. We are native Texans and haven't ever had temps like this before. She's been trying to contact her power company on the phone, but to no avail. The family is using blankets and jackets to keep warm in the house. Since all the roads are iced over, it's way more difficult for the lines to be fixed, she said. I totally get that. If the power outages last longer than anticipated, Leidig said, her first thought would be to take her mom to the hospital. But the roads are iced over, so I don't know how I could, she said. She can't live without her oxygen. Okay, so I'm not going to read this entire article. I'm almost done with it, but it's just going over that the entire state is freezing. So again, this is just another reminder, family, that it is very dangerous to not have a backup plan. When emergency disasters happen, you are putting yourself and your family at risk. And specifically, if you know you have elderly or children that have medical conditions, okay? So you have to take ownership and make sure you have a backup plan. All right. So again, make sure that your loved ones have their medication stocked up. All right. Now, as far as heat source, we talked about it. If you have a fireplace, use wood. Now, this is why candles are important. Yes, you can use candles as a heat source. Now, I found out on one of the prepper channels, folks want to talk about preppers and call them hillbillies and call them crazy. But baby, let me tell you something. I bet you they ain't freezing. I bet you they ain't fenced to starve. But I learned a couple of tricks from the prepper channels. One with the candles, you can take a candle, and if you have a terracotta planter pot, what you can do is light that candle and put that terracotta planter pot upside down over that candle. And on the bottom of that terracotta pot, there's going to be an opening. It's an opening, a little hole. And that terracotta pot will turn into a heat source. All right. So it's going to generate heat. Okay. Same thing that you can do. I got this from a prepper channel. Now, y'all remember back up in the day when Big Mama had a Crisco grease. Y'all remember that grease that came in the can? Do you know that is an excellent source for a candle? A candle that can burn a long time. So get you some of them grease cans. Buy you a wick, a candle wick. Yep, you can buy those. And you can stuff it down in that can and light it. And that's your source of a candle and a heat source. And if you have a big enough terracotta pot, you put it over that. And hey, voila, you've made yourself a heating source, okay? So imagine if you have a couple of those, plus the family bundling up, it can sustain you a tad bit, all right? So these are the things that we have been talking about for years for being prepared, having your candles, having your flashlights, your batteries, having, we call them staple foods, where your family can eat and survive off of it, having water, right? This is just one example, family. We all are guilty of getting so comfortable with this system supporting us with things that are necessities for life. So hopefully this is a wake-up call to all of us. As these poles continue to shift with Mother Earth, the weather is just going to get worse and worse until she is done shifting. So be prepared, be ready, be responsible. I wish all of you well, family. Peace and love.